So I want to show you a little bit. I did start a little fuselage. There's a former in there. Got to work on the form on the other side. And I just tried this one off camera to make sure it worked. But I want to show you how cool, how well this is designed. So look at these colors. The pink go underneath the piece. So that's kind of where you slide underneath and glue it. And the blue is when you roll it around. Those are going to be glued to essentially each other. Um, and then those pieces are going to be scored. That's where that goes up against those windows. And every time there's a little place that has a little notch on it, like right there and right there, I guess that's where you're going to draw a little line and emboss a little bit, and that's where it's going to bend and have the bottom side. But it's really kind of neat. So you cut them out, but all that color coding really does kind of help. I've never seen this before on a model. It does make it kind of nice and sort of intuitive. You don't need that stuff, but it's kind of an interesting way to go about doing it. So there's some little details on this when they manufacture that are cool. But see there, that comes together on the pink, and then the blue parts are going to be what the flat that you glue underneath the other side of the former of the skin when you roll it around. So not necessary, strictly necessary, but at the same time, I think that's a neat little nuance that I have not seen before. Anyway, so all we do with these is what you'd expect, which is glue them, in this case, glue them on the pink, um, and then put them underneath the skins to begin the process and um, of getting this thing ready to fold together. And then the white tabs that are out sticking out front there, those are going to go into the next skin area or to a former. So it's actually pretty cool. And then this is nice to have the pink color because you can see exactly where you're supposed to, just at a glance, you can see exactly where you're supposed to attach things and glue. Just make sure that you're straight and make sure it comes down where it's supposed to, which it does, cleanly and nicely. And then you put a little pressure on it, and then that should be good. And then you just have to do the other side um, the very same way. And you'll see the blue up on top there, that little tiny piece. You'll see it on the other side, and you are then ready to put this thing together, and then hopefully put in formers. I ran into trouble with the formers, and we'll talk about it as we get there. I should have colored these with my aluminum Sharpie before I put them together, but I was so excited to show you. So haste makes waste. So here I am gluing the other side. I put a little bead of glue there. Probably should use a brush or something, because then I wouldn't have to use my handy dandy middle finger. But anyway, it works. Whatever gets you through. Um, yeah, clean up the bench, dummy. Um, and then the blue part is going to match with the other blue part, and you do the same thing. Match up the pink to the edge, and then just have the white part um, proud, and that's what's going to go into the next skin in the next series when we finally get there. Putting that together and a little squeezing gets it right going, and everything is solid, and that's good. Oh, and then I put a smudge on there, but it came off. It came off okay. It's on the bottom of the airplane anyway, so I'm not that worried. Now I have to figure out where to emboss, and I think for the bottom there's going to be a right angle at the bottom where the former is going to go, and that is I'm trying to figure out where that is, and that is going to be where then the pieces come together. So you can see that line, and you can see where those little darts are right there and there. That is, I assume, where you want to emboss so that you can bend the piece over at a 90-degree angle, like so. And then the other side, do the very same thing to the other side. There's that piece, and you line up the points, and you go ahead and emboss 2 or 3 times. And you have to be careful, because if you do too much, you'll go through the paper. So that takes a little bit of feel. You do it a few times. You go too much a couple times, then you'll know how to not go too many times. But I find with this style paper, 3 swipes of just kind of medium pressure is plenty, and it isn't damaging. So then you roll this over, and there's that blue that's going to notch together just like that. So that's going to look good. Basically put glue on that and stick them together and hold them and crimp them together. And then you'll have your part matched up. And it all goes together really, really well. And it all makes sense. Everything's going beautifully. But then I try to start to put some of those yellow formers in, which, by the way, are backed with my 1/32 balsa as usual. And everything just looks so good, and it's going together so well. I was surprised with the formers. So either some of the formers are good, but then some of the formers are either too small or I'm doing something wrong. I'm not sure, because they're vastly small in a couple places, and I kind of made them work. You'll see in the end, but it's kind of odd because everything's going so well. So I don't know if I'm doing something amiss here or not. But anyway, this part I think I can handle. Gluing these together, they line up nicely. Everything is even and square, and you just squeeze those tabs together with your fingers, and use tweezers if you want to. I tend to squeeze them together initially, and then I kind of, on this one, I think I roll it over and just push it flat onto the bench. Yeah, there, just with my finger, and just kind of make sure it's connected. Pressure will really help, and the glue will stick. Um, so now I'm trying to fit one of the formers, and you can see the top is going to be flat around it, which I guess makes sense, and the bottom is just a square with tiny little rounded edges, but it's basically a square on the bottom. There's no um, markings on where the former's supposed to go. Looking at the directions, I think it's supposed to go up as far forward as you can. And I had some trouble getting the former over the little lip that's created when you put in the tabs. I finally figured it out by bending the former a tiny bit. I'm squeezing it there with my thumb and my finger back there, my ring finger. I'm pushing forward and made it work. But I decided to why not try and make sure these pieces will come together. And after a little cajoling, there's no former and there's just a check, and you can see they seem to match up pretty well, and they're going to come together with just a little bit of work. Here's a couple of little marks, the tick marks, and those are to line you up. So those are lined up, and then it should line up on the wings and everything. And with a little bit of playing around and some squeezing, there it is coming together. And lines up pretty well. Um, you can see where the wing is going to go. On one side, see, there's a step on there, but the center looks good, the top looks good, and with a little a little wiggling, you can get it to fit pretty well and see if the other side is straight too. But it's gonna work. I'm not worried about that so much. But I'm just checking it and just seeing if it'll fit ultimately, and it looks like it will. So far I'm feeling pretty good. Now I try to put in this former, and I just put in arrows for forward, just so I know. So at a glance, I don't do something backwards. I can see me putting it together backwards. I wonder why it's not fitting. But anyway, this piece goes in, and this one actually fit pretty well. It's very tight initially, but I kind of get it to work by pushing it in place and kind of um, just kind of squeezing it in. It's not really too tight, but it does, in this case, come together and really hug around the outside of the former like that. So I put it up close to the edge, and to me, it looks great. So at this point, I'm like, this is great. That former looks really good. So since it's in there, I decided to go ahead and put super glue on the back side to lock it in place. So I put a little super glue in there. I'll take a brush and swipe the super glue around in the joint where the wood and the paper touch, and then I'll hit it with a little bit of zip kicker accelerant so that it'll harden up really quick. But right now everything's going well. I'm kind of blissfully ignorant to any kind of problems at this point, because all I got to do is put a former on this other side that's facing us, and then I should be able to just stick these pieces together. And here I'm trying to look and see where the glue is, and trying to make sure I just tap it with a little bit of my accelerator. And now that former's in there. It's solid. It's instantaneous, and all is right with the world. So now I'm feeling my oats. Things are good. All I got to do is put the next rib in, the next former in, and then I can put these pieces together. as an initial start. But this is where I'm not sure if I'm doing something, I don't know. You can see the shape, but when I put this one in, and it's the correct one based on the directions, it's way too big. The skins are way too big, so I can easily put the former in, but you see the shape it's supposed to make. It just it's huge. There's a large space, and so I end up not using this. But I thought to myself, sometimes I cut holes in the formers so that I can put pieces of um, brush handles and stuff to pull them forward, or pieces of wire, because I was envisioning putting this in with glue and then having it not be in the right place and having to push it, kind of pull it forward almost. So I thought this would help. It didn't end up doing anything. I ended up not using it. But anyway, I'm just trying to figure out how on earth this is going to fit, because the width is right down there, but then if you squeeze it along and have it hug the edges, you can see the top is a big billowy piece, and it's not. You can see there's a big opening up there, and I'm not really sure what to do. And if I push down, and you can kind of push it and squeeze it together, but are you supposed to do that? I'm not quite sure. So here I'm playing around, and I get to a point where if I hold it together, it looks like it's flush, but I know I'm pushing on the skin. So I'm hoping that this is actually what you're supposed to do. Kind of. I mean, I know the pieces held together before fit together when I tested them. These are the two pieces again, and it should fit right on there. And then that piece will then make that roundish, squarish form there. But I'm I'm kind of wondering why that is. So here I am, still test fitting. And again, you can see the large gap. And if I squeeze down and up and on all sides, I can sort of make it hold together, and it's not buckling any, but it doesn't seem to make sense to me. The former seems like it needs to be bigger, or the skin needs to be smaller. Um, so I'm not quite sure. What I ended up doing is I convinced myself that I could make it fit by squeezing it, because those pieces still fit. I'm just checking, going, this still works, doesn't it? And it does. So I'm just sort of wondering how to get that piece in without deforming everything. So what I did was put it in, and I held it together with glue, and here's what I got, and I put it together. I didn't show it because it was a little bit difficult to do, and I didn't think it would work. But I got it all around, and I think we're okay. A little mismatch there, but overall it looks okay. Now I just have to hope that each end fits into the next piece. So I'm not sure. The verdict is still out. We'll see what happens.